special live broadcast. Today, the 23rd of August 2022. This is Biafra Global Network. My name is Kelechi Ambrose, and I want to welcome you especially to this broadcast. Wherever you are, I greet you and I say good day to you. We thank Chukwu Kikiabiam also for this opportunity to discuss and to also look at some critical things that bothers every one of us. And we know that as Biafrans, we have been travailing all this while. And of course, we are getting closer to our victory. We are almost into our promised land. Remember, we are marching very soon. The march has begun. You know, before the march, you have to gather people. You have to get people on board. You have to get yourself also on track, and then also devise means and in a position of advantage. And these are the things that we are doing this time. And we thank God for most of you also who understand and who are part of what is going on. Those of you who have committed yourself to just behavior and to truth and to doing the right thing. You know, it is very, very important. We have to commend you because it is not easy to in these days of terrible attacks, terrible, situation of people coming against us and coming against our victory and coming against you and trying to bribe you out of purpose, trying to bribe you out of taking your stance. You begin to have, yourself stand strong and say, I'm going to stand for the truth. And of course, we know that the period of the days of sitting down and watch the enemy come to kill us and to just do anything to us because they feel that we are peaceful people is gone. These are the days where we're taking the bull by the horn and we're taking action for freedom. Remember, we're already in the stage of liberation, and this stage of liberation began from the institution of the ESN and the dragon flag. And of course, most of you don't understand what that simply means. The dragon flag is another way of saying that the autopilot mode has been activated. That was why when Mazen Abdekano prayed, he talked about the autopilot mode, and he said, now we are in the autopilot mode. Now the mood of autopilot is the automatic movement of our expectations to our destination. That is what it means. It doesn't mean that it's another structure. Autopilot is not a structure, but it is a mood. If you go check the dictionary to understand what a mood is, it's just like when you have gears, gear 1, gear 2, gear 3. And so we're in the gear of mood. We're in the mood gear where things go automatically. When you have an automatic car, you see the way it is programmed, and then when you want to travel and you want to go anywhere, or you want to take a journey, all you need to do is input your details into that car, and then automatically it stores your details and then moves you on and it drives you. That's what the automatic car does. We're talking about those ones who don't need a driver now. Those vehicles that don't need driver, you need people you just need people to program it, and then it works far and wide. I want to welcome you to this broadcast. As I told you, my name is Kelechi Ambrose, and now, of course, we're looking at how they're advancing. Now, remember, the enemies are advancing very, 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 very strongly, and there's so many tactics in which they are using to advance. But I want to make some comparison, between the history. History actually, gives us insight of what we are expecting to happen next time. Those people who have been able to go through history, they are not here anymore. And of course, you know that the human behavior has a concurrent way of operation. It is like the people have a pattern. Humanity has a pattern. And do you know why the pattern is like that? Do you know why the pattern of humanity sometimes looks like it's similar, and things that have happened in the past is happening in the current? Because the same attitude, character, and situations are always prevalent, and they are always there. People are always envious. People are always greedy. People are always happy. People are always sad. People are always expectant. People are always thinking of achieving something. People are always doing something. And so because of that thing, and because of the features of humankind and the mentality of human beings and the way human beings reason, because of the factors of human operations and the basis of human activities, You will always have human beings making the same mistake, at the same time also making progress, learning from mistakes, and at the same time getting advanced and increasing and building some better things. It's always like that. It's universal. So the human actions will always occur and then create reactions, and then reactions creating more reactions, and then those reactions becoming the action of that moment, and then and other reactions coming up from there. And so that is why you see that history always repeats itself. It keeps repeating. Now that's what I want to make now, the comparison between the history that is gone, of course, and the history that we are making today. What we are doing today is history, being prophetically, manifested, and history that has already gone, and history prophetically being manifested. Because the history we are going to create today, or we are creating today, in the expectation, of course, in the movement of achieving Biafra, is actually the history that the future is going to use as a basis of measure, or the yardstick for its operations and activities, and going forward from there. If you look critically, of course, when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu said that he has instituted the autopilot mode when he was praying, and said that we are in the autopilot mode, he said it passionately. If you listen to that prayer very critically, he said it passionately and in the spirit. He was critically deep in that prayer and deep in the spirit when he made mention of it. And of course, he said that everything that comes around will be crushed, everything that stands on our way. Now we can see, of course, you can see there's a particular video that is moving now around the social media, where you see some people who have made themselves, who have decided to stand against the cause of our movement, who came on, and they are saying that they are, people in Newi, holding guns and all of that, moving around, telling the people to come out on a Monday, which is supposed to be a sit-at-home day. They were telling the people to come out to open their shops, to come out to do their businesses and all of that. Now you begin to wonder, is it that we are this wicked that sometimes we don't really think of the repercussion of our actions, because we are looking for what to eat or what to drink, or the things we want to do to safeguard ourselves, and the things we want to do, to get ourselves, satisfied. We are always thinking of the current situation and the satisfactory moment, satisfying the moment. We don't think of the future, and this becomes a very, very serious problem, because our people are thinking of only the moment, satisfying the moment. They are not thinking of the future. And this has become a very, very fundamental factor in the concept of our operation and our behavior. And it has become a very, very, very serious matter in the concept of what we do. Now, these people came out brandishing their weapons, their guns, and they were telling the people to come out to defy the sit-at-home, the Monday sit-at-home. Now, why did we institute this Monday sit-at-home? Why did we institute the Monday sit-at-home? That's the big question. Now, the question of sit-at-home does not have to do with any other thing than the issue of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who stood tall, or who have been standing tall, who has been standing tall, defending us, talking of our freedom, asking that we be given our freedom, and defending what we represent, who is standing tall, and he has been unjustly abducted, extraordinarily renditioned, and kept in the cagey, dingy dungeon of the enemies. And he was kept there. He has been there for over 1 year plus now. He has been there for 1 year and 3 months now, and some days. He is undergoing torture, suffering, subjugation, stress, mental stress, mental stress, mental torture. He's undergoing so many critical situations and things because of us. He is suffering because of the people of Biafra, and because he's standing strong and encouraged for us. He's standing so much strong and encouraged for us. And yet we now chose to sit at home in solidarity and demanding for his release just on Mondays alone. 1 working day out of the 5 working days of the week, or 6 working days, as we may say, of the week. we are choosing to sit down on a Monday in solidarity and demanding for the release of our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and a group of miscreants, a group of idiots, nitwits, fundamental fools will come out brandishing weapons and telling people to come out and open their shops, meaning that they actually are never people who believed in Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You can imagine saboteurs coming out boldly. You can imagine thieves coming out boldly. You can imagine evil people coming out boldly to stand against the cause of the people, the cause of the people, standing strong for someone who we believe is one God have sent and given to us for our freedom, standing in solidarity to the fact that he is being held unjustly in the dungeon of the enemy. And some group of miscreants, nitwits, ne'er-do-wells will come together to tell the people to abandon that solidarity for somebody who sacrificed for them. It's just like what they did for, in the times of Jesus. In spite of all he did for them, they stood and betrayed him. They were standing and they were motivating and pushing the people to work against them. You can imagine this set of people. They are going to be dealt with. Imagine this set of people telling people to come out to defy the Monday sit at home with our leader Kanu. To sit at home in solidarity with our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We have decided, we said we want to stay at home so that we can stay in solidarity with our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And some group of people will come out in Nnewi, brandishing weapons and forcing the people, telling them to come and open their shops. Your times are near. As Mazi Simon Ekpa said, you guys, these saboteurs will go down before the Fulanis. You will go down before the Fulanis. You are bringing out weapons, going after the people who are fighting for the people. You are also coming directly on and attacking our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Anyone who attacks Monday Sit at Home is attacking Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Anyone who talks against Sit at Home is talking against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I'm going to be talking more on that in another topic by tomorrow. Anyone coming against Sit at Home is coming against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because that Sit at Home was designed critically for Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, of his work and his efforts towards us, and for demanding of his release. And some group of miscreants will come together to tell Biafrans to defy that day. Who are you? Who are you? Because the politicians have given you guns and weapons to move around, because they have given you peanuts to sell your birthright and to go around foolishly disgracing yourselves. You think we're in the era of jokes? You think we're in the era of just moving around and just like that? We are in the era of freedom, liberation, and the dragon flag is up. Anybody who comes against that dragon flag goes down. You people have been killing us enough, but this time around you're not going to go scot-free. You have killed strong men, people who Mazi Nnamdi Kanu strongly believed in and has entrusted the will to protect the people. You killed Double Lion, you killed others. You've been killing lots of them. You killed Ukonso. You killed them. And you people are brandishing your weapons. Your time has come. You're going to go down before the Fulanis. That's the truth. Because you are being used by these people against the people of Biafra. And we will not take it anymore. We will not take it anymore. We will not take it anymore. The dragon flag was raised, and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was the one who instituted the autopilot mode. And as soon as that dragon flag was raised, that was the beginning of the forceful aspect of freedom movement. Freedom comes by force. Now, let me tell you something. They are advancing. Now, let me tell you how they are advancing. Let me give you comparison and measure so that you can understand the concept of their advancement. If you look at the scripture, the Bible, you will see the story of Moses. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is tantamount to the history of Moses. Let me give you analysis of that. I want to teach you people, those who don't understand what they are doing, the implication of their sabotaging. I want to teach them something so that they will understand that the way Pharaoh went down and his armies in the Red Sea, the same way they're going to go down in this time. Because the Red Sea of Biafrans, our march is the Red Sea that will drown them all. Because now what we are doing is that we are bringing people together. We're instituting the structural process of getting everybody, including those ones who are not members, who are, of course, everyone who is a Biafran, because IPOB represents all Biafrans. We are bringing all Biafrans with their different methods of seeking for freedom together so that we all can harmonize and synchronize our system, our structure, and our ways and operations, and then marry them together so that we can achieve a collective cause. The cause of freedom is collective. It is not individualistic. No, it is not individualistic. So if you think that you have the concept of bringing Biafra and you think you can be on your own to sabotage other people because it's not coming from you, because your own concept is not loud enough, and because it is not going the way you want it to go, and just like what those in Zama people have been doing all this while, all they do is collect monthly dues from people. All they do, they just want IPOB to continue to hold meetings every time. Every time they're holding meetings like family meetings. Who told you that freedom fighting is family meeting? Who told you that? Freedom fighting is beyond family meeting, is beyond gathering in a place every month. For the past years, all they do is gather people, telling them to hold family meetings everywhere and then collect monthly dues. And you don't know what they're using the monies for. All these years, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is asking for monies for weapons. The monies that are being contributed, those guys who tell you they are doing this, they are buying that, they are doing this, they are siphoning the money. You can imagine them collecting salaries every month. You heard it from Wefi. He said it, that Chike Doziem collects salary. And you heard that idiot, Kochina Sanwolu, saying that in fact, the salary, they have to increase it. That's an insult. He's collecting $2,000, that they should increase it. You can imagine. People sit abroad, they've traveled abroad, and they are collecting salary from the hard-earned money of people who are seeking for freedom, and their conscience does not prick them. They are collecting salaries from the hard-earned money of market women, of petty traders in the village, of bicycle repairers, of truck pushers, of Okada riders, of all these petty people who are doing petty business in the village. They're collecting their monies from them. These people are contributing. For years, they've been contributing. They're collecting these monies from them. That is how they want the movement to continue, so that they will continue to collect money for themselves. They want us to continue in that level, that petty level of understanding of what freedom fighting is. All you just come once in a while, they will tell you, we have rally here. We want to do this. We want to hold campaign here. We want to hold rally here. We want to go to British embassy to protest. We want to do this. They want us to remain in the level of mediocrity. Where do you see it that freedom fighting, where is it in this world? In this fighting is in the realm of household meetings. Have you heard Scotland holding regional family meetings, and that is where their freedom fighting stopped? Go and look at freedom fighting, Mandela and all of that. Check how freedom fighting is. Go to history if you want to know what freedom fighting is about. Don't come and rub your selfish desires on every one of us and other people. That is how they forced Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to keep struggling. He was heavy in heart. Sometimes in his broadcast, he will say, I wish, sometimes I feel like abandoning this thing and let them go and suffer because they're not ready. Our people are not ready. He kept saying it. But because of the mandate, it was like a fire in his bones. He couldn't stop. He has to go forward because it is a calling upon his life. It happened to people in history. Jeremiah had that feeling. Moses had that feeling. At the time, they were frustrated because the people were frustrating them. It is the same thing that is happening today. Some people are trying to frustrate Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, frustrate the system, frustrate the movement and the ideology and the things that are going on. Anytime people seek to be free, some forces of darkness will utilize some people, their bodies for agents of darkness to use them. They become an obstacle. They begin to fight. Can you imagine that somebody can sit down or wake up and say that he's fighting against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? You don't know that when you fight against it at home, you're fighting against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Yeah, that's what it is. I will explain that better to you in the next broadcast, tomorrow's broadcast. You listen to it. Now, let me give you the similarities. Moses was born at the time when Israel was being tormented, was being fought against, when Israel was in a kind of slavery. It was in the level of their slavery that is tantamount to war, because they were literally killing all the male children born in that dispensation. They were in a warlike situation. That was when Moses was born, in the midst of that war, the war that Pharaoh declared against Israel. That was when Moses was born. Now let's look at it. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born in the midst of the war against God's people, Biafrans. The same way against the war of against God's people by the war of the Egyptians. That's history. Of course, don't forget that we are Jews. Biafrans are Jews. We are children of God, the fifth son of Jacob, Eri, who is the fifth son. I mean, one of the sons of that. I don't know whether the second son also, of God, who is the fifth son of Jacob, left Egypt during that time of slavery and came straight to the land. Remember, God says that everywhere the sole of your feet shall tread upon, I have given it unto you. It treads on where your leg, let me put it the way you can understand. Feet means leg. Anywhere your leg reach, anywhere your leg enter, I don't give unto you. That is what God told Moses. And the sole of your feet, wherever it treads on, wherever it touches, I give it to you. The same way our father, Eri, left his father God and all of that, his family, they came down to this place, this Biafra land, the east, and they settled there. God gave them that land. They settled there. Now, the period when Moses was born was the period when Egypt has declared war against Israel. How did they declare war? They put them into servitude beyond their capacity. They were killing every male born into their families. They were taking their beautiful ladies and marrying them, raping them. They were torturing the Israelis. They were literally in war. They were crying to God for freedom. They were begging for freedom. They didn't have a will of their own. They didn't have a mindset of their own. They didn't have a way of operation of their own. They were literally struggling to survive. Literally struggling to survive. Suddenly, Moses was born in the midst. Every time God wants to deliver people, in the midst of that trouble, that is when somebody is born. So when Moses was born, he was born in that height of the war declared against the children of Israel. The same way when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born, he was born in the midst of the war, people of France. In that war, 5 million Biafrans were killed. They were killed by hunger. They were killed by the bullets. They were macheted. Their women, women were raped. The women were taken, impregnated. The children were taken, killed. Some of them killed. Some of them, they were killing the children, killing the men. Sorry. And the women, they were raping the women, taking the women, doing what they liked with them, kill some, rape them. The same thing that Israel was experiencing in Egypt. So the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born in that time. He survived that period. The same way Moses survived that period. The same way. Look at it now. You call this coincidence? Let me analyze it further so you understand. So you know it's not coincidence, it is divine. So that you know that God is, because you can measure what you're doing and the success you're going to achieve through the concept of history, and using history to measure your operations and your attitude towards it, and then the actions of the enemies and all of that towards it, and then know where you are going. Because if your purpose is freedom, the purpose of Israel was freedom then. If your purpose also is freedom, there are some things basically that will happen to bring freedom. And those things are tantamount to the actions that will happen, that have happened previously, which will be improved on or may have slight differences. So, Pharaoh declared war on Israel. Moses was born in the midst of the war. Britain and Fulani, Britain, using Fulanis as proxy, declared war on Biafrans because they seek for freedom. And their land was attacked. In the midst of that, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born. Now, let me explain something to you before I go further in that explanation. Even if I'm not able to finish it in the broadcast, I will continue it in the next broadcast. Now, do you know, or did you know that the reason why Gowon, sponsored by the Fulanis, supervised and instructed by the British, went to war against Biafrans is the same reason Moses went to war against Israel in Egypt? Let me tell you, let me put it to you. The war against Biafra was a war against self-rule and self-management and self-operations, restructuring. Now, if Britain could go to war against people who are asking for restructuring, they didn't ask for outright moving away from Nigeria. They were asking for restructuring. Because the reason why Ojukwu declared Biafra was because they refused to implement the dictates of the document of Ebiri, which was talking about restructuring. Ebiri was, the actions of Ebiri was restructuring. The meeting at Ebiri in Ghana was for restructuring. Was not for outright movement out of Nigeria. It was restructuring. What does restructuring mean? Restructuring means that you are going to manage your own economy. You are going to manage your own society. You are going to declare rules for your own side, to know how to govern yourself based on what you are and your culture and your system, your language, everything, your similarities and everything that has to do with you. You are going to manage your resources. All you need to do is pay taxes to the central government, but you are the one managing your resources and taxes. You are managing your youth development ministry. Now, remember, let me tell you something. What makes restructuring good is that the people manage their system themselves. How does this work? The federal government will not be the one to manage the youth ministry in Biafra land. They will not be the one to manage the finances of Biafra land. They will not be the one to manage the police of Biafra land. They will not be the one to manage the economic development and growth of Biafra land. Biafra people will take it upon themselves to build their economy, do the things that will be necessary to build their economy, and then send the taxes to the federal government. But they will manage everything. They will declare, they will determine what happens along the line. But here now, what the Fulanis wanted was that they didn't want restructuring. What Britain wanted is that they don't want restructuring, because now they want to manage you from the federal point of view. They want to manage the youth, because the only place the youth can have their voices is through the ministries. The only place the people in a democratic setting, the only place their voices are expressed is through the actions they take in the ministries, in the youth ministry, in the in the entertainment industry, in all these sectors that has to do with the people. These are the places where the people have the mandate or the operations of expressing what they need and their views. That is where the policies and all of that are developed. So if Biafra is managing its own territory right now, it simply means that everything that has to do with youth development, entrepreneurship, and social life, entertainment, economy, and all of that technology and all of that will be in the context of Biafra's jurisdiction. Biafrans will have a say in it, because Biafrans will determine what they want. But now it is the Fulanis that will be determining it from Abuja, which means that the youth ministry in Biafra land does not have a voice. It only depends on what the youth ministry in Abuja decides. Now, what did they do? They held you to that point of in the name of fake federal structure, and they now put Fulanis in key positions of those ministries and all the government agencies that are very fundamental to growth and development, or that are very fundamental to control. Sorry. So they now took all those positions and gave it to their Fulani people. That is what they wanted. The same thing happened in Egypt. Pharaoh was the one commanding. Remember, God was telling Israel, the purpose of God is that he wants us to go and get our freedom. He wants us to get our freedom so that we can worship him. The reason why he told Israel that they were going to get their freedom is because Israel must worship him. Israel will dwell in the land of milk and honey, and Israel will worship him. Now, if God is your source, then he has to be he has to be the center of worship. That is what God wanted. But Israel was being forced to worship idols because Pharaoh was instituted or represents the idols of Egypt. But God said to Israel, no, I have not created you to join forces with people and to be under them who worship idols. That is why I want you to have your own nation, so that you can worship me. That is why in the law, in the 10 commandments, you see, you shall have no other God before me. The first commandment, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Egypt. You shall have no other God before me. I am a jealous God. You will have no other God before me. So the reason why I'm taking you out of this servitude is because I want to take you to a land of promise where that is flowing with milk and honey. You will have abundance, and at the same time, you will worship me alone. Now, if you listen to Mazin Namkanu, he said, he always prays it, and whenever he prays, he says, God, you are the only one we are going to worship, because you are the one who is saving us, you are the one who is freeing us. We have dedicated it and made this covenant that we are going to worship you alone. And if you observe it, God took the people of Biafra into a land of milk and honey, gas, oil and gas, everything, resources. The resources in Biafra land are too numerous. So God put us in the land of milk and honey so that we might serve him. The same way he was taking Egypt and Moses and the children of Israel out of Egypt to the place of promise, of abundance, milk and honey. And then he gave them ideas to create. The land of milk and honey. So Mazin Nnamdi Kanu said it, instituted it, that we're going to serve God and serve him because he is Elohim, and he made it as a covenant. He said, him alone we will serve. That was the beginning point of the freedom. So now let's look at it critically again. Let's look at it critically. Now, if you observe, the reason the Fulanis didn't want that restructuring is because they will not have control over you. Which means they will not control the youth ministry. They will not. So everything that you will do it of yourself because you have control over it. But if they control you, they determine what you do and what you don't do. The reason why Pharaoh refused Israel to have control over themselves, they were coming to bother them, to subjugate them, was because he wants to exude control over the over the people. He wanted to exert control. So whenever they want to put you under subjugation, the first thing they do is they institute structure that will control you. That is what Pharaoh actually did to the children of Israel. That is what the Fulanis and the British are doing to us. They make sure that the youth ministry, the military, the economy, everything that has to do with the economy is under the control of their Fulanis. They put everything under their own control so that they can be able to subjugate you and control you. The same way, I'm telling you that history has a way of repeating itself. Israel was under the control of Pharaoh. Everything they did was their economy was under Pharaoh. Everything they did was under Pharaoh. Their operations was under Pharaoh. Their social life was under Pharaoh. Their religious life was under Pharaoh because Pharaoh was worshiping the idols. The same way the Fulanis want to also have you under control, your religion under their control. They want to make you Islam. They want to make you Islamic. They want to subjugate you and control your resources. They want to control what you earn. They want to control. That is why you cannot have your seaport. That is why you cannot have your your international airports. That's why you cannot build industries. That is why you don't have enough revenue to. They control everything that you have. They give you peanuts to feed yourself, the same way they did to Israel in Egypt. They give them peanuts, they feed themselves, they work hard, they don't pay them, they only give them food. The same way that the Fulanis and the British are doing today, doing to Biafrans. History repeating itself in a unique way. So now, the reason why they want to keep you under a structure, they fought us. They went to war because of restructuring, not because of separation. You can imagine these people going to war because of restructuring, not because of separation. Now we are talking about separation. What do you think they can do? What do you think they can do if they couldn't give you restructuring? So you think it is some separation they'll give you? So you think they will allow Peter Obi come in? You that is shouting Peter Obi, Peter Obi, Peter Obi, give them the South rule. The South should rule. The Southeast has not ruled. Let Peter Obi, when it comes, he's going to change the system. So you think they will bring in Peter Obi to come and give you what they didn't give you? And they went to war because they didn't want to give you? Are you that stupid to believe that kind of thing? That the Fulanis will go to war and refuse to give you restructuring. They prefer to fight you and go to war. With Gowon giving them a flimsy excuses. But we didn't do it because Ojukwu announced it first. For God's sake, what kind of flimsy excuse is that? That Ojukwu announced the things you people agreed on first, and then you say that he has committed. Did he announce it from your office? Did he announce it from Lagos? He announced it in his region. Announced it to his. So how does that mean that you cannot implement it? That's changed the truth that you agreed on this. And how does that stop you from implementing it? You see, when they want to do things, they do things in foolish way. What is the reason why Pharaoh started to subjugate the Egyptians and the Israelis? The reason why he subjugated them was because he said that they were growing more than them. They were increased. They may come against us. They may come against them. They may come against. They may fight. They may become greater than Israel, and all of that. Ojukwu did none of that. He was not coming against them. He was not fighting them. He was not doing anything against them. But they came against him. They said he announced it first. So if they had the heart to go to war just because they don't want you to restructure, then what do you think? You think that today, now that they have oil and gas, then when they did that, there was no oil and gas. There was only oil, and oil was not in this quantum or in this quantity that they have it now. They were making money, but they were not making the money as much as they are making it now. They were not making the money as much as they're making it now. But yet they went to war so that they don't restructure. Now that their eyes have opened and they know that there is oil and abundant gas in Biafra land, so you think they will now give you, they will now make you want to go away? You are saying that Peter Obi will cause it, and Peter Obi will cause the division, and Peter Obi will bring freedom. Peter Obi will make us have our freedom. You are very, very stupid and daft. You don't know anything. Go back to history. Go back and learn. You need to go back and learn. There's so many things you need to learn because you don't know anything. The foolishness that is in you is too much. These people refuse to give you restructuring because they don't want you to take control of your resources. And what you had then was only oil, not in the quantity they know that you have now. Now they know you have oil, you have gas that is becoming a global gold. That is not even becoming, is a global gold now. The reliance on oil is going down. The reliance on oil and on gas is increasing. And they know that you have it now. They will now give you free Peter Obi to come in, to come and divide their loot. Nigeria is their loot. They will now come and divide it and go and give you Biafra. You must be dumb for thinking that way. You must be absolutely dumb. For ever thinking and reasoning that way, you are absolutely dumb. Peter Obi is an agent to drag you into another 4 years of agreement. If you don't know, that is why he is there. That is why he went to, he went to Britain. He went to UK. He went to to meet with the man there, Boris Johnson. That is why he went there. That is the pattern. Look at history. Ezekiel went to them and they told him what to do. He came back and forced his people into election that brought in a system that weakened the East. He was only a ceremonial president. He didn't have power. He didn't have authority. He couldn't implement anything. He couldn't decide anything. He was just there. They put him there to mislead us, Biafrans, mislead our fathers then, so that our fathers will think that they have authority. They will think that they are the president. They will think that they have control, and then they will give their support to that imbecilic system that the British, the corruption that the British instituted. They actually manipulated us using one person, Nnamdi Azikiwe. Today they are manipulating you the same way, the same pattern. Peter Obi goes down to Boris Johnson and comes out and begins to talk about moving away from PDP, because they know they are not going to give it, so they want to put him where he can still keep afloat, where to seem as if, okay, at least he's still in the system, he's still in the race, he's still in the race, and at the same time, we are still giving the leverage to everybody, Yoruba, Igbo, and Fulani, to rule the North, the West, and the East. That's the implication they try to give. Let it look like everybody's represented now. Those who are thinking those who are thinking that they should have it, they are the ones represented. They do not. The North feels that they should rule, so they are represented. The West think that they should rule, so they are represented. The East think that they should rule, so they are represented. They are giving you a false impression to drag you into endorsing another contract. Don't you know that the power of the contract, of the sustenance of this contraption called Nigeria, is in your hands? When you decide to go into election, you have already given a consent for another 4 years of subjugation and rule. So when they bring Peter Obi to play that game and that card, they are trying to get you to endorse. As soon as you come out in any police station and put a vote, you have already endorsed another 4 years. So whatever happened that 4 years, you are part of it. You are the one who gave that endorsement, and you can never destroy it. That is why this time around that there's another election coming is another tactical way of our victory. It's an instrument. It's the best time to get our freedom, because we are going to boycott that opportunity. Boycott that means of giving them that and that consent to rule. Time you boycott it, you have already told the world that you are no more interested in this system. You have already told the world that you are no more, you didn't give your consent. You are not part of those who are instituting this, so you are not part of them anymore. That automatically makes the United Nations come to your matter. Not when you begin to write petition. We want to have our nation. We want to be Biafrans. We want to have our own country. We want to have our own state. We want to have our own nation. Blah blah. They will take the letters and they will acknowledge it that they have taken the letter, but they will not say anything. That is why the international community is not saying anything. That's why CNN is not carrying our news. That's why BBC is not carrying our news. Because if you wanted it before 2019, during the election, you would have boycotted it. 2015, you should have boycotted the election. That would prove that you are serious. Anywhere you go in the world now and tell them to come and support you for freedom, they will tell you to be serious, because they fought for their own freedom. So you think they will now want you, they will now sit down to come and fight for you after they have gone through the hell they have gone through and fought for their own freedom, and they are thinking of building things and making things better. You think that all they will do now is to come and sit down and begin to crack their brains for you. You're being mentally lazy. You come and tell, you are begging people, come and help us, come and help us, come and talk to this person, come and talk to and Buhari, come and talk to the late Buhari, or the people who are ruling in the name of Buhari. Come and talk to the Fulanis. Come and talk to the Sultan of Sokoto. Come and talk to the British to come and free us. You think that's you are just wasting your time. You don't know what you want. If you are serious, anybody who is serious, they take their things by themselves. Ukraine is serious; they're taking their things by themselves, and then the world supports. Ukraine said, "We are going to fight. We are a nation. Russia cannot come and invade us and take over us. No, we are going to fight." And they demanded for the nations. When they went into fight, they demanded that the nations should support them. That is when they now started giving them arms. They didn't give them arms when they were sitting down and watching. When they were saying, "We're going to defend our land." No, they gave them arms after the battle began. That is how it is being done. You take serious steps and people take you seriously, because your serious steps proves that you are serious, and that is when people take you seriously. They refused to give us restructuring. They killed 5 billion Biafrans just not to give you restructuring, when they know when it was just oil, only oil, and not as much as we have it now. Now they know we have oil and gas and other resources that they can tap from and make money. You think they will now give you freedom? And you think now they will now endorse you to take? You are not serious. If you don't know that Peter Obi is the enemy, number one enemy, your number one enemy, he cannot replace Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the one ordained to bring about our freedom. Peter Obi cannot, God cannot place Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to go all this while and this fight, and then Peter Obi will now come to be the one to lead you in. No, it's not possible. It's not possible. Moses was born in the midst of the war and the trouble, the same way Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born in the midst of the war and trouble. Moses thought that he was going to get it in his own way. The same way also Ojukwu wanted to get it in his own way when he thought he was going to talk about restructuring. But it didn't work, because that's not the way of God. The way of God is outright separation, not staying with the enemies. Go and read the Bible very well. God never acknowledges and accepts that his people stay with the enemy in the same nation. No. He wants you to be different so that you can be governed by a system that directs its mandate and its acknowledgement to God. That is why he told them that I am your God, the first commandment. I am the Lord your God. You shall have no other God before me. So when God is making you, giving you freedom, he wants you to serve him. That is why we cannot be under Nigeria to serve him, because Nigeria is operating Sharia. It's a Sharia nation. It is not a nation of God. It is a nation of Sharia. And as long as that is, we can never operate in part of it. We can never serve God in that. And God is angry with that. And that's why the anger of God will fall on everyone who have made themselves enemies, who are fighting this cause of our freedom, who are fighting the autopilot mood that we are in. Every one of you, God will deal with you. So now you see it. They refuse to give us freedom. They killed 5 million of us. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was born in the midst of the trouble, just like Pharaoh, gave Israel war. Now Moses was born in the midst. Now look at it. What then happened? In the midst of it, Pharaoh now was defying every call for freedom. In spite of the signs that Moses was given to Egypt, the signs, the 10 signs he gave, he was giving them the signs. Pharaoh refused to listen. He felt that he has absolute control. He felt that he has the power. He felt that he should be in charge. The same way also, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came. He began to give the signs. All the prophecies he gave were signs, evidences, and all the prophecies came to pass. Don't you see it? You call that coincidence? No, it's not coincidence. It's not coincidence. You can't call that coincidence. The same way Moses came and gave signs to Pharaoh, gave signs to the people of Egypt to prove that it is God that is directing this mission. They refused to listen. The same way also Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came, gave the Nigerian government and British government the signs by giving out prophecies, accurate prophecies. All the prophecies have come to pass. The same way they said the Fulanis will come in, he said they are going to come, they're going to kill, they're going to maim, he said so many things. He prophesied about so many governments that were coming in, what was going to happen. He even prophesied it that it is Buhari that will give us our freedom. Yet, those signs were not enough. What did Pharaoh do? Pharaoh took Moses. As soon as Moses gave those signs, at a point, Pharaoh told Moses, don't come to my face again. I don't want to see you again. From this day onwards, I don't want to see you in my face. That is an automatic way of putting somebody in a prison. That means you are bad. Moses was bad. The same way Mazin Nnamdi is kidnapped now and locked up. Extraordinarily bad. From coming out, from speaking, from doing anything. The same, you call that coincidence? That is the same history repeating. That tells you we are going to get our freedom. We are getting our freedom. The same way Pharaoh was bad, and Pharaoh bad Moses. I don't want to see your face again. I don't want to hear from you again. I don't want to hear anything about freedom again. I don't want to hear anything that makes you have the opportunity to cause people to begin to believe in what you're doing. I don't want to hear any of that anymore. The same way also Mazin Nnamdi Kanu is bad now. He's put in the dungeon. He's restricted. But you know what? The same way Moses, when things got so bad, how has things gone so bad? Now Moses Amanepa has been positioned there to make things, to stir up the waters. As soon as the firstborn of Egypt, the firstborn sons of Egyptians were killed, just like what we're doing now, the sit at home we're doing, putting the government under pressure, doing things that concerns their interest, doing things that touch them, that touch their weaknesses. They are greedy people, they love money. Now the sit at home we're doing is taking away a chunk of money from them, billions of naira every Monday from them. It is affecting them, it is giving them concerns. The same way they love their firstborn sons in Egypt. The same way we are using the sit at home now, the same way we are contributing for ESN, the same way we are dealing with them in our bushes, that these are the things that concern them. The same way Moses dealt with them also, that Moses caused the firstborn of Egypt to die. The same way, and so it touched them where it's pained them. The same way we are touching them now where it pains them. As soon as that was done, do you know what they did? Let's look at history. As soon as that was done, as soon as the firstborn children of Egypt were killed, do you know what they did? The same Pharaoh who said that he doesn't want to see Moses again called him, brought him out. Moses stood in his presence again and told him, please take your people and leave. Take your people and leave. The same way also, now that we are dealing with them, they themselves will bring Mazin Nnamdi Kanu out. They will free him and they will begin to beg for us to go. And how will they beg for us to go? They will go down. The same way also Moses took all of them down in the Red Sea. As they release Moses, the same way they will release Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. And as soon as they release him, every one of them will go down, just like the Egyptians, the way they went down. That's what's going to happen. It is not coincidental. It is going to happen as it is said. The same way Moses came out, when Moses came out, he became, as soon as he came out, they are the ones who said they shouldn't come to their face again. Pharaoh said it, don't come to my presence again. I don't want to see you again. He barred him, he locked him up. That's what it means. It's part of locking up. You must not put him in a prison before you know he has locked him up. He has sealed him, barred him from anything communicating, and barred him from anything talking about this issue of freedom. As soon as trouble came beyond his expectation, as soon as the things that were done that began to affect him very well came, the same way also he barred Moses, the same way he looked for Moses. The same way also they have kidnapped Nnamdi Kanu, put him and extraordinarily renditioned him and kept him in that dungeon. That means they have barred him from airing his voice, from saying what he has to say, from speaking the mind of God. The same way they will bring him out now that the autopilot mode is on, because when they took him, it also brought about the institutionalization of the autopilot mode, which Moses Amanepa is presiding, is handling and on behalf of Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. And this is what is going to bring, what Mazi Samanepa is doing now is equal to the killing of the firstborn children of Egypt. You people just understand the concept, how God is doing it, so that you will understand where God is taking us, so that you will understand that our freedom is certain. There is nothing that will stop our freedom. The same way the firstborn children of Egypt were killed, the same way also, which that firstborn children of Egypt represents their concern, their most precious things, the most important things to them, those things that they value so much. The same way also, this sit at home and everything we are doing now is touching that thing that these people cherish so much: money, ego, control. That thing, that power they cherish so much, because Biafrans are sitting down, they now know that they are not in control. We are now touching them in different ways. We are dealing with them in our farms where they are coming to kill us. We are dealing with them on all sides. Now it is touching them. Now, in the midst of it touching them, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be freed. And then when he is freed, he is going to lead the total destruction of the enemies, just like what happened with Pharaoh. As soon as Moses was brought before the king again, that is freedom. He was brought before Pharaoh, that is freedom. The same way when Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is released, that is freedom. Then he will now lead the total destruction of all these people. This is what is going to happen. So you should understand the place of history repeating itself in our time, and understand that the only way we can get our freedom is through the line that God has prepared through Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and what he has put on ground. Every other person is an instrument used by God, while Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is the chief instrument used by God. So you should understand what is happening. You should understand the spiritual implication of what is happening. You should understand the spiritual disposition of what is happening, so that you don't begin to walk in ignorance and allow yourself to be to become a saboteur or a betrayer, because you will also go down with the enemies. The same way most of those children of Israel that came out of Egypt couldn't see the promised land because they were saboteurs. The same way you that is trying to sabotage this system will be sabotaged. Will be taken down. The same way you will not see the promise. You will see the land, you will know about the land, but you will not enter, you will not eat of the blessings. So the earlier you begin to think right and do things right, the better for you. The earlier you begin to position yourself rightly to do the right thing, the better for you. Because the history of Egypt, remember, this is our father, Eri, who came all the way from Egypt, whose father is God, the fifth son of Jacob. The same thing that happened to Israel in Egypt, the same thing is happening to us in this promised land that we're in. Now, I want you to take this home to understand this well, so that you can tell those people who are going about trying to sabotage. The truth about it is that sabotage cannot stop what is going to happen. We know that quite all right. So we know that if you are sabotaging, you already prepared yourself to be cut off, to be destroyed, to go down. That is what that means. You are one of the people who are going to go down, in the midst of this whole thing. You're one of those who are going to go. That means you have circulated. But the truth about it is that the principles of achieving success have a link to history. The same thing that happened to our people there, the same thing is happening to us here. And one interesting thing you have to understand is that as much as they refuse to give you restructuring and fought to kill 5 million of us, so that they will not give us restructuring, they will not give you freedom. Which means that the only option we have is to take it by force. As long as they refuse to give you that restructuring, which made them kill 5 million of you, they can never give you freedom. That is the truth. Nobody, Peter Obi is their agent. He of course, he sleeps with them, those malams, they go to hotel. You heard it from Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. There are evidences. So he's a homosexual. They do all of that stuff. So he's their puppet. He's their puppy. They come and press it in front of you, puppy, and you begin to dance. That's what they're doing. I'm going to talk more on this, and I'm going to talk more on this issue of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, being a cynosure of the sit at home. I'm going to talk more on that in the next podcast. I don't want to make this too long so that we don't get bored, expect another broadcast tomorrow, 4 p.m. Biafra time, and I'm going to be speaking on core issues that have to do with the seat at home and what we are doing now to get our freedom, and the core things that will give you a sign and a proof that we are going home. Please share this video and let other people listen to it and get sense and receive wisdom so that they will begin to walk in the light of the things we're doing. This is Biafra Global Network. My name is Kelechi Ambrose. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being part of this. Please welcome other people next time and also join us as we broadcast next time. Thank you so much.